Hello and welcome to my channel. I review new movies and television shows and release new content from Monday to Friday. Today I'm going over Deus. It stars Claudia Black, Richard Blackwood, and Phil Davis. It was directed and written by Steve Stone. Deus is a sci-fi fantasy movie that follows the crew of the Achilles. They've been sent to explore and investigate a sphere that has appeared above the orbit of Mars. The crew awakens from cryo-sleep and starts taking readings from the sphere, but they quickly discover that the sphere isn't natural. Their scanners can't penetrate its surface, and weird anomalies keep cropping up. A message comes through to them from the sphere and they decipher it. The message is one word repeated: Deus, the Latin word for God. They press on despite the strange happenings in order to discover the mysteries of this blackened sphere. Overall, the writing is kind of a mixed bag. The story is filled with mystery and drama that can be quite captivating to watch, but it doesn't do characters well. The dialogue can also be a bit exposition heavy at times. The story dips into and weaves in a lot of supernatural elements and ideas that keep you guessing as to what's going on. There's a good amount of conflict as well to keep things interesting, and the moral dilemma is presented in a really intriguing way. Carla as a character feels multi-dimensional and interesting, while the rest of her castmates feel like one-trick ponies. The commander, Sai, Tez, and Sean are all lacking in personality, and the mother and daughter characters are props within the story and not real characters. The film also fails to explain certain events and motivations and instead glosses over them with an easy answer of, well, that guy did it somehow. This wasn't super important to the film, but it feels really cheap, and they don't explain something that takes 10 minutes of the screen time. The acting is weak for the most part. Whether the roles weren't written with any personality or the actors just didn't have any when they portrayed them, the characters are boring, aside from Carla Gray. Claudia Black does an excellent job as Carla, and puts on a show as the badass scientist. She plays her character as level-headed and intelligent, witty, with just a smidgen of arrogance. It's truly a fun character, and I likely will be quoting her exchanges with the AI for some time to come. Branko Tomovic as Cy Rubin is also a standout in this film. The mental breakdown he portrayed was very disturbing. The rest of the cast read their lines well for the most part, but they were as generic as any red shirt on any episode of Star Trek. I only remembered their names because there were so few characters to begin with. The soundtrack is surprisingly well done. It's got a nice variety of different tracks from all kinds of genres, and they managed to fit them into the scenery perfectly. The songs often elevate the scene to that next level. The sound engineering in general was just fantastic. Every machine has its own noise, and the sounds the sphere made were like angelic whale sounds. It was really cool to listen to. This film is exciting. It tends to shy away from long scenes and instead opts to have the crew really sprawl out across the ship, and we spend a lot of time traveling along its corridors. The ship itself is interesting to look at, and a lot of the CGI is used wisely alongside the sets and practical effects. It isn't top-level CGI, and if you look too closely you'll see flaws in the design, but for a budget film it's pretty good. All that said, the film involves a lot of talking and not much action. They still try to make things visually appealing, and often we get interesting angles with lots of motion. It is scenic, and I enjoy the look of the film. It isn't the best sci-fi fantasy film out there, but it does tackle a pretty interesting concept, and the production value is rather high. Its character work is weak, and the story could have been tighter, but I did enjoy the film. I'd recommend Deus conditionally to people who like sci-fi dramas. It's a lot of talking without much action, and the characters aren't especially strong. If you're in the mood for something to entertain you for an afternoon, this is it. You won't remember much from it in a week, but it's fun. 7 out of 10.